It's Julia Lundstrom, your neuroscience and brain health educator. And in today's 10-minute memory hack, I have a very important question for you because we're going to be talking about happiness and joy. So can your thoughts for a healthier life actually make you healthier on the inside? The other day I met a woman who swears she's never been sick in her life. And prior to becoming a brain health specialist, I would have never believed her. I do now. So, in continuing with our Joyous January, I want to dive deeper into your thought processes and how they can make you sick or healthy. So, while many doctors claim that illnesses and diseases and sicknesses are genetic, let me be clear. You do not have a predetermined genetic destiny. A few decades ago, the doctors and scientific community, they declared that most diseases we experience today are a direct result of our genetic makeup. But since then, they've been quietly changing their tune to acknowledge that both our internal and external environments play a role in activating and deactivating particular genes in your body. And this is the real picture behind most diseases. So did you know that less than 5% of diseases today are from single gene disorders, while a whopping 95% of all illnesses and diseases can be traced to your lifestyle choices? Chronic stress and the toxic factors in your environment contribute to these. So let me say that again. 95% of mental and physical issues are not created by your genes, but by factors of our internal and external environment. See, the environment around us has a direct impact on shaping who we are and how we think and how we act and how we react. Basically, your environment creates your personality. And of course, your personality has a direct impact on your emotional and mental experiences, your programming. So do they affect your personality? You can think of your emotions and basically your mental programming as the end products of your past experiences, which we continue to revisit in the form of memories. That's all you're doing is pulling back past memories. And these memories become the framework for your entire environment internally. What I mean by this is that as we experience life's joys and heartaches and loves and losses and anger and jealousy and regrets and celebrations, each of these experiences get configured into the structure of your brain as a point of reference for the future. So every waking moment, your brain is receiving information from the external environment all around you, and it refers back to your database of past experiences, aka your memories. And it does this to determine how to understand what's happening right now and how to respond. There's a really entertaining movie around this that Pixar and Disney created that's really a genius example. And this movie is called Inside Out. So definitely worth watching on your next movie night. It's a cartoon, but really, really good. So by the time you're young adults, most of us have experienced some level of trauma or bad experiences that have left a mental and emotional aftertaste, in our everyday lives. And from the moment we had those experiences in the first place, all of our future decisions and actions and reactions have been drawing upon what we learned in that very first experience. So in many ways, our memories direct our future. But this also keeps us in a loop. Often, that loop, it leads us right back to the same result we got the first time we did it from our original memory. Joe Dispenza says in his book that I highly recommend, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, your thoughts have consequences so great that they create your reality. You have your memories versus reality. So just think about it. If your thoughts create your current reality and your reality is defined by your past thoughts, you're producing the same environment and experience for yourself today and tomorrow and the next day. And without a conscious intervention, your environments can become a feedback loop of past experiences that start to control your everyday life. You're not broken. This process is hardwired into your brain. This is neuroscience. We refer to it as Hebb's Law. Nerve cells that fire together, wire together. So here's how that process works. Now let's just picture you're walking to a friend's house. And to get there, you usually walk around a large green field. But today you realize it might be shorter to just walk straight through the field. And as you walk, you're pushing down the leaves and the grass, and you're creating a small path. Now, if you walk this path every single day, it gets more and more permanently ingrained into that field. A couple of weeks later, other people notice the path and they start using it as well. And eventually, a year of foot traffic, the city decides, well, heck, let's just put in a 2-lane bike path through the field. And it's become the fastest and most efficient route to your friend's house. So now this new path has been cemented in. Your thoughts and brain programming work exactly like this. If you continually to activate the same thought paths and nerve cells, literally thinking in the exact same specific ways, it becomes easier and easier for these same nerve cells to fire together in the same way every single time. And eventually these patterns, they just become developed highways in your brain for these specific thoughts and emotions. And once they're formed, it can be extremely difficult to reroute the traffic on those highways. To do so, you have to bring in a whole new crew. They have to tear up the cement and plow the path and plant new grass seeds and keep watering it and keep pulling the weeds to have it grow back into a field. It takes a lot of time and a ton of work. But just like replacing a highway, it's a simple process, but it does require some effort. So let's look at your thoughts versus emotions. What's the connection? Chemically, your brain neurons want to fire in a sequence your brain recalls from the past. So once these networks of neurons are activated, through this pathway, right, you get a thought or emotion, and your body and brain will produce chemicals and hormones specific to the pattern of those thoughts and emotions. So effectively, you feel exactly what you're thinking. Going back to that original thought, you'll have experienced this. You may have thought a sexy thought while sitting at your desk, and your body noticed a physical reaction to those thoughts. Or let's say you had a bad argument with a coworker. Just thinking about that argument might get your blood boiling and your heart pounding, and you might get flushed as you're in the heat of battle all over again, even though that argument happened days ago, right? This connective firing is why it's so hard to change. Your thoughts trigger physical reactions in your body, which react as though the thought is a situation happening right now in real time. So to respond to the situation, your body sends the same hormones and chemicals racing through your body, which triggers more thoughts about the situation. And at this point, you are literally experiencing all of this in real time once more, even though it's not. If the thoughts are negative, you can see how this quickly leads to this downward spiral over and over again. And this is all part of human life. But if you get stuck in these negative thoughts, which are constantly triggering hormones to deal with the situation, it can really become physically dangerous to your health. Stress and negative thinking are, over prolonged periods, is physically toxic to your health. So let's take the argument with your coworker. The longer you replay that conversation in your head over and over again and remain in that stressed out state of mind, you continually release the stress chemicals throughout your body. And as we all know, over time, these stress chemicals can kill. We have tons of articles around stress and cortisol on our blog at simplesmartscience.com. You can go there to read more about that. But now the question is, is it possible to change your thoughts and create a healthier, more balanced internal environment and a healthier, more balanced external environment? Absolutely. You can easily think your body into almost any state. Even if you're clinically depressed, you can use funny, happy thoughts to stop these negative thoughts in their tracks. It just takes practice, sometimes lots of practice. It does take positive thinking because that does work. Why? Well, because your negative emotions aren't real, right? They're not happening to you now. They're simply reactions and thoughts that go through your head. And studies show that many, if not most, of our illnesses are created from these very toxic, unbalanced chain reactions from your mind to your body. And a lot of those illnesses aren't real either. In fact, doctors have found that some people with multiple personality disorder have different illnesses and conditions in one personality versus the other personality. One personality might have severe allergies to dogs or cats, while the other personality in the same body, right, exactly the same body, does not. So a lot of what you experience really is in your head. Another example has been found in identical twins who share the exact same genes, where serious illnesses can manifest in one twin but not the other. Same genes, different outcomes, which proves, again, you do not have a genetic destiny, but you gotta clear out these negative memories and the negative thoughts and the damaging negative that goes with them. It can be extremely healing and life-changing. So, check out this cool story. There was a study done in Japan, and the researchers, they wanted to see what effect your state of mind actually has on disease. So to do this, they took a group of test subjects, two groups. They all had diabetes, and they were all dependent on insulin. And they split them into two groups. Next, all the participants had their blood fasting and blood sugar levels tested to establish, baseline, so they knew where they were at. Then they had one group watch a comedy show for an hour, while the other group watched a super boring dry lecture. And then all the participants ate basically the same delicious meal afterwards. And then they had their blood glucose levels tested again. And of course, here's what happens. In the group who watched the very boring lecture, the test subjects' blood sugar levels had raised enough that they needed an insulin shot. But in the group who watched the comedy show, well, you probably guessed it at this point, their blood sugar rose only half the amount of the lecture participants, an amount that did not require any insulin. So, what's our conclusion here? Your mental state directly controls your body. So, what exactly are thoughts? Our thoughts are energy. They are electrical impulses. That's right, electricity, and it's generated by your brain, which can easily be measured by EEG. So to change your thoughts, you need to be able to control all that energy in your brain. At the HeartMath Institute Research Center in California, they ran a test which they had healers hold tubes of DNA in their hands. The first group of healers held the test tubes after thinking about strong, elevated emotions such as love and appreciation for exactly 2 minutes. Nothing happened to the DNA. The second group focused with a strong intent to change the DNA. They had a thought, but were instructed not to enter into a positive emotion state, right? Again, no DNA change. The third group combined the two. Instead of just thinking and feeling positive thoughts, they also set an intention to unwind the DNA. And the combination of the emotion and the thought led to significant changes to the DNA. In some cases, the DNA unwound as much as 25%. So here's your formula for happy thoughts. First, it's thought which is intention with the feeling, emotion equals your change. So the next important question is, how can you start to change the very well-ingrained thoughts that don't serve you? The first thing I tell everyone is to just simply start a gratitude practice. So here's what I do. First, I write down 2 lists every day. 1, a list of what I'm grateful for that day. And 2, a list of something that I'm grateful for that hasn't happened yet. I create the experience I want and then give thanks as if it's already happened. And the next step is critical to changing your thoughts. Critical, critical, critical. I observe my thoughts throughout the day. See, observation is the first component to change. If you don't notice it, you can't change it. To create change in your own life, keep track of your negative thoughts and write them down. Write down what the thought was and when it happened and frankly, what triggered it, what happened right before you had that thought. What happened right after you had the thought as well, because you want to notice what happens in your body and your brain that gave you the actions. So let me give you an example personally of what I'm talking about, what I'm currently working to change. So sometimes I get very uptight when someone loses integrity around an expectation that they set with me. My heart races and my mind relives the past every time this person has disappointed me. And my body and my mind go through these same emotions every single time. And this creates a chemical battlefield in my brain and body, and there's no need for this. I know this. I know that when this happens, I'm sending so much cortisol through my system, and it's eating away at my brain, actually my memory center. I know that whatever this person does or doesn't do, it shouldn't make me sick. So when this happens, I lie down and either meditate or just repeat the mantra, calm, 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 until I settle down. I've done this with a lot of my triggers in my life. And at first it was really tough and it took me a long time to just change one thought pattern. But I promise you, it's become easier and easier each time I do it, and with each thought pattern I want to change. It's kind of like a new chair. It may, start out stiff and uncomfortable, but over time it conforms to your body and it gets so comfortable that one day you really can't remember when it wasn't your favorite chair, when it wasn't super comfortable. So look at what you wrote, think about who you no longer want to be and who you want to be instead. How do you not want to feel? How are you going to act the next time you feel that way? Create the images and the experience ahead of the actual event so that when it comes up, you know what to do. You're creating a new future for yourself. Isn't that worth the effort? So most people really only look in the mirror to face who they are today and what they need to change. And when they're faced with a crisis, trauma, or hitting rock bottom, usually it's about loss. But why wait? Why wait till you're miserable? You don't have to wait until you're so uncomfortable and so miserable, like most people do, you feel forced to move out of your current state. Why not learn how to make small changes for the positive life while in a state of joy and happiness and inspiration, instead of when you hit rock bottom and trauma hits? That's when it's going to be twice as hard. Do it now when it's not so bad. The bottom line here is every experience you live is not just related to, but created by a state of mind. And it's never too late to change the negative thought patterns and the negative feelings that don't serve you and don't lead you to your happiest and, frankly, healthiest life. The power is in your hands. It's in your mind. So give that daily practice work every day for the rest of the month of January, the next 3 weeks. And I'd really love to just have you comment below what you're gonna do, how you're gonna do it, and how you are gonna create this new reality, right? How you're gonna act the next time something that drives you crazy comes up. Comment below and let me know. Thank you.